Jordan, this video is going to be a compilation of the final diagram I'm trying to work on, as well as the whiteboarding session here I'm going to bring you through. So as you can see, I believe I've been able to work everything out on Azure Data Factory as it is right now. And I'd like to take you through seconds and bring you through an old school whiteboard session.
So here's what I learned today. Basically that Azure can now handle everything we need it to handle. And by that, this is what I mean. We start over here with some Azure file storage. AZF. We have our client put their data in that file, and then we come on over here and we use a DF, Azure Data Factory. And within that Azure Data Factory, we have a little goodie. And that goodie is integration runtime. And for that integration runtime, it actually is a special, it is an SSIS integration runtime. So obviously here, we're moving along, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to feed that integration runtime SSIS package running in the Azure cloud right over here to Databricks Spark. Now, what I've seen so far is, and what I've done today is actually set up all of this. I've taken each thing, all of it, and created each one of these. Along with some other things, I've created a Azure Data Warehouse and an Azure SQL DB, which are extraneous at this point. But suffice it to say that the infrastructure is there for everything to run, and more importantly, everything we created in SQL 2012 now runs on Azure. That means we can go to production as soon as we can set up a production level Azure environment. Now, from a analytical perspective, I was obviously assuming here that we're going to go ahead and use right here the Power BI as our point of reporting and analytics, and that Power BI obviously here can be set up. That's also going to live on the cloud. So assuming we'd have a Power BI cluster down here. Correct. That would give us, in essence, all we needed to provide analytics in an unlimited environment. Now, a couple of things that I've noticed for here for sure is over here we can keep things as Azure file, Azure Data Lake, Azure file storage, and the like. As well, within here, I believe we can set up our control tables. And I might add one more thing, that if we are going to be able to run our SSIS packages within here, that we can additionally add one more box down here, or circle, and in that we're going to do the information value chain. So that's important because with here we'll be able to put up a table and allow us to create an entry. And I'm assuming to access that we could come out here and pretty much add in kind of a web environment, again using a basic Azure web capability to give us a web UI also in AZ. So if we add all that up, then we're doing pretty good. At that point, I would say we've pretty much got the whole thing covered. We have the complete application. Now, a few more things I did see in terms of scalability. That obviously, as we are setting up these environments, that here, for instance, within this, we can obviously determine the amount of memory needed for the processing. In this case, we're not going to be writing out to a database. We're going to be going directly to the Azure Databricks data lake file storage. Within that, from what I can see, obviously we can set up as many nodes as we need to handle the processing. Still not exactly sure how all this parallelization works, but except for the final connection here, let me add one more comment, and that being that at least right here we'd be adding in some kind of a note capability, right? So within this Azure DB, there's going to have to be notebooks, correct? So there'd be Databricks notebooks, which would be set up from an application perspective. I'm not thinking there needs to be any logic in here right now. All the logic is going to live in here. We don't have to re-engineer or rewrite any of our 2012 components. At least not yet, at least not initially. And with a small table here for the information value chain, we can let the user do the mapping. Let me know. A few more things. That would be that we will need probably a small SQL Server DB right here, since we will have to have some kind of tables in order to be connected here to the web UI, which we've got here. So these two guys got to talk to each other. And as well, I'd add in that we're going to need right up in here our ABI data analyzer is here, and I'd add that data analyzer will need a little bit of work. Last time I tried to run that, Nitin and I found that there was one bug. Once that data analyzer is run, then I think we should be in good shape. However, in the beginning, that data analyzer is going to be run by people, because I don't think that we'd want a user coming into here, coming into some little VM that's sitting here and importing a file. We'll pick the file up from blob storage, and it'll be able to get some guys that we can start working with that'll help us. We can run their processing overnight and certainly have the results available in the morning, which will give us ample time to handle any kind of issues. As we move along, we can eventually certainly replace our guy here with an actual process once we're in a little bit better shape. So we need to be able to take him and create a process right here that would replace him. So we'd be replacing that little man with actually our ABI process, which of course, as we look at it here, would be directly interfacing with our web environment. That and many other things to do development-wise, but I do think it's feasibility, reality for us to consider that we can take in clients' data as a service, be able to process it in a semi-automated way, provide them results, and then provide the consulting around it.